Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. It's October, and hope everybody's ready to rock and roll. Going to call the meeting to order at, what time is it? A couple minutes after 6 o'clock. Do the roll call. Looks like we've got everyone. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Who's missing? Who's missing? Is that everybody? Is that all of us? Is that right?
Mr. Kenneth is he said maybe he'll come.
Oh,
a little bit
Jonathan.
later.
Yes, Jonathan.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I haven't heard from him. Has anybody heard from him?
Okay.
Kevin, have you heard from him?
He said he will be joining once he's meeting with the
what?
council. He will be joining later.
Later?
He has a meeting right now with the county council, but he said
Okay.
he will be joining. Yep.
Okay. So it's the roll call, everyone except for Jonathan. Hopefully he'll join us a little bit later. Mr. Battle, Kenny Battle, also is still in the TIEE committee meeting right now. Not sure what they're meeting about, but they've gone to an extended meeting. Okay, so I'm going to make 2 short revisions, if everyone's okay, to the agenda. One is I just wanted to have Kevin give a quick update on the website or the web page. There's apparently an issue. So if anybody's gone to that page and they've noticed, he can tell us what's going on with that, number 1. And number 2, Martha Ainsworth, who's sent me a note that said she'll be here shortly, is going to give us just a little briefing on what's happening with statewide zero waste legislation. So is everybody okay with that, those changes?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So let's start with Kevin. When Martha comes, she was going to be here to begin with, but we'll just move forward. When she gets here, we'll add her to the next item. Kevin, would you mind giving us just a quick update like you had shared with me about what's going on with the webpage?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Excuse
Yeah.
me? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the county is transitioning to a new website. And so I think it occurred yesterday. And so with this transition, the information from the old website were migrated to the new website. And there were some errors there. Some links you couldn't access to. But our ComSim is fixing it. I'll be working with our ComSim tomorrow to fix the SWAC website so you can access the meeting recordings. So that's what happened, why you couldn't access the meeting links in the SWAC website. But we'll have it fixed soon, and we will update you.
So do you have a timeline on that, Kevin? Like when that might be? I mean, they didn't have the up-to-date recordings. They were the recordings from 2022.
I don't have the timeline, but I can, once I talk with our comms team tomorrow, I will have the timeline established for the fix to the SWAC website.
Okay, all right. If you could just let me know, I'll send that out. That would be great.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so Martha's, let me just check my phone and make sure she maybe didn't have trouble getting in. Oh, okay, I'm getting invalid meeting ID. She's trying to log in. I'm not really sure why that is. That's what I was wondering, if the link on the website was usable. Do you know, Kevin?
The link is okay. That's what I used.
If she got Kenny's email today, the link is on the bottom of Kenny's email.
Yeah, the link is good. All you need to do.
She can get in through Kenny's link.
000.
Yeah, the password was 5 zeros. So
Yeah.
Password is 0000.
Yeah.
All right, well, okay, I've gotta now figure out about moving this thing on my screen and getting her in. So Dave, do you want to go ahead and maybe give an update on the compost store? The next item is the compost store.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. I think it was, I don't know the date now. I could actually look it up, but we met over at the compost organic site within the last 2 weeks. We got the tour. There were about, I think, eight or nine people there on the tour, including I had invited people from University Park, and our former mayor came along, which was actually a good thing. The facility is really a pretty remarkable facility. I mean, the size, and it seems like they really have a well-functioning process there. They've got several different ways they're composting now. They've got the large piles that are under the gore covers, which is a way they turn around compost within, I think I said, like 6 weeks. They have the additional piles that are just outside, very large piles, and those take longer. But I recall, it sounds like they're doing about 60 or 70,000 tons of compost a year, which is pretty amazing. And I guess it's one of the largest on the East Coast. We had some questions about if there's any methane being generated there. And they said they think not, at least where they're doing the gore covers where they're pumping in oxygen, and they've got they do an analysis, I think, constantly to see if there's if temperatures are right and if there's enough oxygen going in there or too much. So they're looking at that constantly. One of the other questions that was raised too was the fact that there is a lot of compost coming in from a lot of places now, and is there an issue with plastic contamination? And they said they've got staff there who are retrieving and pulling out plastic from what's dumped in there, and it's almost a little hard to imagine that they could get all that plastic out because there's large piles, and sorting through every square foot of it or every cubic foot of it, it was kind of difficult. But they said they're trying to do the best they can there. One of the other people that did come over there was someone from Sustainable Generation, who have the gore covers, and he stated that the contamination rate is about 3%. We're not quite sure how they came up with that number, and I think we want to look into that a little further, because we want to make sure that the compost that's being produced is not, we're not putting out plastic in those bags of the compost that they're selling. So overall, though, I think it looks like they're doing a pretty remarkable job, and it's certainly much better than having all that all those organics going out to the ground station, where it just then generates methane and becomes a problem of trying to retain it and pump it into their facility they have there, which is trying to reduce any methane that is being generated. But that's, I guess that's what I have to report on that right now.
Okay, so
And-
any questions about the tour of the facility? Okay, so when we were there, it became clear that there were some detailed questions that we still weren't clear about what the answers were. So we are, I think, going to set up another meeting with some of the key people at the compost facility to have a chance, hopefully the managers and maybe one of the engineers, so we can ask more detailed questions and get a little bit more depth than we were able to in just doing the tour. So if anyone is interested in participating, that's really kind of a function of, I guess, Dave, maybe the Greenhouse Gas Committee. But if anybody's interested in also participating in that, let one of us know about that. So that would be with some of the principals at that site as a next step. Okay, so the other issue regarding tours is, I'm not sure who's gone on what tour, but I wanted to raise the issue again that if there's commissioners who would like to go to Brown Station Road or to the compost facility or the MRF or to the durable medical equipment facility, to speak up and let us know that you'd like to do that. And we can arrange additional tours for the commission members, and then we can invite some other people if it makes sense. Is there any thoughts about that?
Yeah, Nancy, I have one. I've been on the MRF tour, and that again is, you know, it's getting better all the time. They've got new optical sorters that are really helping. The question I have though, and I've been looking at what goes out of the house here in terms of plastics, and you know, we've got I guess plastics divided into 7 different categories, some which are very recyclable and others which are not. I'm just kind of wondering if anybody been on that tour, or anybody else could tell me just how they deal with number 1s, say, versus number 7s. How are they able to do that there, other than just visually? Well,
No, that's what the optical sorter does. It sorts them effectively by number.
Oh, okay.
And I
really
think,
good.
as far as I know, 4 and 6 get sent directly to the landfill, and everybody else goes out for sales. And I think it's 1 and 2 are the ones that actually are profitable, and the other ones are sort of eh.
Yeah, I think 5 may be problematic too, but
Yeah, I mean, I think everything other than 1 and 2, or maybe 1, 2, and 3, are problematic. There's actually, I heard there's some effort nationally to try to make the non-recyclable ones no longer have the triangle logo. Because I mean, any random person looks at it and says, "Oh, it's a triangle logo. It's got to be recyclable."
Right.
Theoretically, but not really.
That's what the plastic industries want.
The whole recycling thing is invented by the plastic industry. Oh, talking about, I have an interesting, two things. One, Martha had called me and asked for the link. So I,
Who?
Martha.
And she's on. She's on.
Oh, she is on. Okay, she got on.
Yes.
Okay,
she's
sorry.
on. Yeah.
Okay. The other interesting thing, talking with Dave, and he found out, and then on checking the website, that we had talked about what happens to the plastic bags that you take to Giant and whatnot. And it turns out that all of the grocery stores in this area pretty much participate, Giant and Safeway and Food Lion and etc., with Trex, that the plastic bags get shipped to Trex, and then they get made into decking boards. And when you look on the Trex website of what they accept, because I was real curious, you know, they obviously accept their own plastic bags back, but what additional bags? And they have a whole lot of stuff to identify what it is, but they say the easiest thing to do is the crinkle test. If it crinkles, they don't take it. If it doesn't crinkle, it's okay. When you go to wad it up.
Okay, so this is an issue that's come up. We can, if you want to hold on, Barbara, we can talk about all the plastic stuff. under the I guess the Greenhouse Gas Committee report, and we can discuss it further because there's been a lot of stuff around this. And Martha's been working on this in a lot of ways too. So anyway, so since there's not an enthusiastic jumping up and down for additional tours, if anyone feels like
I
they have
love the tours. If we have, I've thought that all the tours we've done have been fantastic. And I think to once, like every second year, go to each of these facilities, at least every second year when I go to the composting of the MRF, it's just super heartening. And I think another tour of the Brown Station landfill would be incredibly valuable now that we've gotten that report and know a lot more about questions to ask, that they just can't feed us this bullshit PR line that they did last time.
Mhm. So, okay, so
It'd be great to get another tour there.
what we can do then is that if I don't really hear a whole lot of interest towards the end of this year, what we'll do is at the beginning of next year, we'll check in with everybody again and say, maybe we'll set up some tours for the spring. We can also see if some other folks, either from the county or maybe the Sierra Club or other organizations want to join us. Happy to have other people come along as much as possible. I think that's good. Okay, so we're going to move along. Martha Ainsworth is here with us, and thank you for being here. Martha's the chair of the Sierra Club Zero Waste for Prince George's County. Been really active on a lot of the really major current issues. And when I was speaking with her, she was sharing with me that she's really up on what's happening at the state level. And since a lot of what happens at the state level really affects us at the county, I asked her if she would give us just a brief report and update on what's happening at the state. So Martha, it's yours.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I just got a low battery
Oh no.
chime on my computer, but it's plugged in now. Thanks very much. So, and for inviting me. We don't know what all the waste bills at the General Assembly will be, but I can give you a pretty good review of the ones I know about. And there's 6, I think, that I want to share with you. And let me see if I can share screen. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Can you allow me to do this?
Sure, hold on,
Kevin?
hold on.
Did you?
Yeah, he's working on it.
Oh, thank you,
Give me a
Kevin.
second. Okay. Let me just remove my slides. One second, please.
Sure. The tours are spectacular. I'm really glad you're promoting them.
Yeah, I think it's a great way for people to understand what's happening. It's that kind of really hands-on and seeing the facilities, all the work and the good progress that's happened.
We're really trying to get more of the municipal officials on those tours so that they'll plug into the composting.
I'm sorry, this is Marilyn. I got a little distracted. I was going to make a recommendation, then I got distracted with Barbara's comment, which I'll talk later because I wasn't sure what she meant by the bullshit PR comment. But we did take internally, Kevin and I went on a tour at the mattress recycling facility up near Baltimore. And if you are interested, if we can coordinate a tour at that facility, I wanted to ask if this group here or SWAC and of course you as well, Martha, if you're interested. I found it quite interesting. And you know, of course, I always love to see how things operate. But if you're interested, I can call and see if the gentleman, the owner, would be willing to host another tour.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be, Marilyn, that would be great. That would be great.
Okay. All right, Kevin, we'll make note of that. Okay.
Yeah, that's terrific.
yeah.
And thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
You're welcome.
That Turbo Hall, Marilyn, is that Turbo Hall?
Yes. Have you been
That
there,
was on my
Martha?
to-do list. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yes, we'll get.
You saved me trouble.
Yeah, we'll give him a call and see if we can't get something. And then if so, we'll, Kevin can coordinate with the best date and time, for everyone.
Okay, terrific. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you for thinking of us, Martha.
Well, Marilyn, thank you.
I mean,
One
Marilyn.
of the 6 bills is the mattress stewardship program, and I was hoping to get, organize the tour up there, but if you're gonna do it, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it
I'm
was,
still getting a message that the host is disabled screen sharing. I can try to do it without the presentation if you'd like. It's gonna be,
Kevin, do you want me to call Antoinette to see if she can do it? Because it would be nice to see the presentation. Let me give her a call real quick.
or if you want to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead with some other agenda item while that's being taken care of, I don't want to take up your time with the wait.
Yeah, well, the next item requires Kevin and Marilyn.
Okay.
We could move on, we could hold their report and move on to committee reports, which would be moving on to Dave, I think probably starting, I think we have 2 active folks who've had some activity recently, and one is Hooray Outreach and greenhouse gas. So do you want to start, Dave? Can you hear me? Up?
Sorry about that. I muted myself. I didn't realize I.
Oh, I thought they
yeah.
had gotten her thing.
Yes,
Okay.
excuse me, Nancy, just real quick. So Antoinette can jump back on the meeting. She said give her about 7 minutes because she
Okay.
had stepped out for a minute, and then she can take control so that she can provide control for Martha to do her presentation, to give her presentation.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to switch. We're going to do the committee reports, and then we'll do your guys' report after that.
Yeah.
Resource
Okay.
Recovery Division. Okay, so Dave, go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about, or I maybe have a couple questions about the ongoing question. I guess the question we've had for quite a while about what's happening at Brown Station in terms of that the pipe that needs to be repaired and has been in 95% complete for a long time, or are they? I'm not sure if it's the actual design or whether it's the permitting process. We seem to get to a point where nothing is happening. We would like to see something happening rather than having the gas being flared, which just adds a lot of heat to our environment, and we'd like to be able to use that. Also save some money. It's going to go to places like the correction facility. So I'd like to ask staff if there's any movement on that, if that's something that we're getting closer to getting resolved and fixed. So
Marilyn, do you know?
And I'm sorry, what's the question again? I heard it, but what was the exact question you wanted a status on?
I think he just wants to know, I think there's several issues. I think the first one he's asking about is what's the status of the repair or the permitting, which it seems to be at the permitting stage.
Actually, it's not a repair, it's a replacement of the line.
Okay, so
They're
the
not repairing it, they're replacing the line all the way to Upper Marlboro.
But I think it's on hold while they're doing that call for other ideas, isn't it?
Yeah, so the as far as the status goes, our director, Andrea Krooms, did reach out to the director of the Office of Essential Services because the project is actually their project. Our department is funding it, but it's their project. So she was hoping that the project manager over there, would be able to reach out and respond directly to the email asking for the status of it. But if SWAC, I did ask Andrea about it before she left. She's on leave now. But basically what she said was if SWAC has not heard, if you have not received a response by someone in Office Essential Services, then what she recommended was that a phone call or email be directly made from SWAC to the Office of Central Services.
I've done that
Because-
already.
Oh, okay, because we as an agency, she wasn't, able to, sort of
Right.
get that response for SWAC.
So
Well,
I
First,
did,
also go to the county executive's office.
Chuck, say that again?
Didn't the last letter also go to the county exec's office?
Yes, a copy went to the council and the county exec's office. And after I heard from Andrea about that she was going to contact the Office of Central Services, I took the letter and I resent it to the director of Central Services. And we've heard nothing.
You've not heard from anybody.
That's correct.
That's an interesting scenario. It tells you what they think about this commission.
So the question is, what now?
Let me just a sort of related thing. I just got yesterday an email. Don't know if it's scam from somebody, Matt Gernard. Hey, Barbara, I work for Kintrex Energy, a Kinder Morgan company on a landfill natural gas supply side. I wanted to try and connect with you on your Brown Station Road landfill. I noticed in the LMOP, whatever that is, database, that this landfill has a good amount of gas being produced. At 1902 SCAFM, I estimate an annual revenue of $1.6 million for the county. I would love to bend your ear and see what we might be able to work with you. Do I forward this to someone? Do I call him? Do I just hit yes, interested? What do I do?
Could that be somebody, Marilyn, that was interested in the RFI?
I'm not familiar with the name of that company that Barbara just mentioned. It's
And if it was RFI, they'd just respond to the RFI. I bet this is in parallel.
Yeah, it sounds to me like, of course, like a marketing, type of email.
What?
But
But it might
fishing?
be somebody who's interested.
MES
who
on
we could-
behalf of Prince County.
I mean, it might be somebody who we could direct to the RFI.
I can't hear her.
You're coming across garbled, unfortunately, Marilyn.
I don't know, Barbara. I mean, maybe direct them to the county for more.
Right.
That's what I would do. So the problem here is that we haven't gotten a response. We sent this, it's been a while now. There's no response. So I don't know, does anybody have a suggestion about what the next step is? I mean, I could try calling, I could go to the county
I would
council
just be
members.
careful. I would just be careful to make sure it's not what they call like a phishing, phishing email.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I recommend.
Marilyn, I have another question for you regarding this pipe and the construction of it. You said that it's actually not really in your hands, but it's in the Office of Central Services. My question is, Office of Central Services probably deals with all sorts of different contracts, but the specifics of the contract, for instance, in terms of how it gets billed, if there are issues we're saying that there was an issue with crossing a creek and having a stream over there. That's probably stuff that they don't never get that under the weeds in. And it seems like that's something that your office would probably be dealing with. So I guess my question is, we go to them, but they're just going to say, well, we're moving papers around here, but we may not have any answers.
Yeah, so they are the project manager and they do know and all of the details. I mean, I knew of that information that I had previously provided to SWAC because I had been sitting in on the project status meetings between the Office of Central Services and the engineering firm that they hired, you know, to do the design. And that's
Is
how
that
I,
SES?
I believe it's, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, is it EA Engineering?
Yes, I believe so. They're very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yes. And you know, the last status I had provided based on my knowledge, and I haven't been in, I don't know if they've had any meetings since, because that last status meeting was that DPI, the Department of Permitting, Inspections and Enforcement, required that the pipe be, you know, traverse the stream and not go, you know, a fixed or encased. I know I used the wrong word last time, Bruce, so y'all correct me. I think it's called encased within the bridge. So that is going to require the engineering firm to redesign the plan based on that DPI comment. And where it was left off at that point in time was they were to come up with a cost of how much that would, you know, additional cost that would be, and a new schedule, because they also knew that it would take longer. It's going to add time to the project. And that's where it was left off. So I have not heard, nor have I seen a new cost estimate for it or a new revised schedule for it.
Marilyn,
So-
who's the project manager at OCS?
I believe, and I apologize, I don't recall his last name. His first name is Court or Courtagier. And I don't recall his last name, but what we can do is, you know, Kevin can, we can send his name over to you tomorrow.
Okay.
I just know him as Court, which is short for Courtagier. But I'm sorry, I don't recall his last name.
Is that the person that presumably is a person that you've been dealing with at OCS?
Well, he, and it might be one of his staff member who's the actual project manager, because I believe his title is, he's either a deputy director or an associate director within OCS.
Okay.
So it's either him or one of his staff members.
Okay. I don't know if you have a suggestion about how to move forward. I mean, I can try to contact that person, but we've gotten really no response.
Yeah,
So-
and it could be. I mean, I'm not gonna I don't want to make up any reasons or excuses, but it might be, I'm guessing that at this point in time, they're probably waiting, which I'm not saying that's no reason not to respond at all, but I suspect that the status is that they're waiting on the revised cost estimate and that revised schedule, because it's a lot more, the work now, it became more complex because there's other reviewing agencies involved when you're doing stream work. That's my guess. And then the second part of it is, once they do have a cost estimate, then the county has to determine, whether it's going to have to sell additional bonds or, exactly where
fund it.
the additional funding is going to come from, because it wasn't budgeted for this increase, something that might be this substantial.
Mhm.
And then,
Have they had any responses to their RFI?
yes, so that I can speak to. So the Maryland Environmental Service, on behalf of Prince George's County, our department, released an RFI for, beneficial uses of the landfill gas. And they did receive 11 responses. predominantly 9 of the 11 recommended RNG. And their MES is in the process of evaluating it. They did give us a briefing this afternoon on it. And what our acting director, Adriana Caldarelli, which I believe you all have met, hopefully.
Yes.
She has directed MES. MES is going to, because, you know, it's very technical and it's really, we need a technical expert to review the information that came in from these 11 responses and do an analysis on it, to provide us with some information, because what this RFI will do is it will guide us in drafting the RFP. The next step is to issue an RFP, which is a request for proposals. So the RFI was just, you know, request for information, which then will lead into the formal RFP to be released. So so where we are with that again is Maryland Environmental Service today got the directive from the county to go ahead and use their consultant who's an expert in landfill gas and, you know, the industry of, you know, electricity and so forth, to do an analysis, a technical analysis of these responses, which then will help shape the drafting of the RFP.
Marilyn, you said that a 9 asked for or suggested RNG. Is that a company? What is RNG?
No, Kevin, can you explain that for me?
Or is NG natural gas?
I might have even used the wrong acronym. I'm sorry. I'm having a real bad day.
Reclaim natural gas or something like that. I have no idea.
It's no, it's renewable natural gas, Barbara.
Okay.
So majority of the vendors offered development of RNG for the landfill. Some offered LFG and also
offered what?
CNG, fuel
What is
stations for landfill gas.
LNG.
And there was an offer to develop compressed natural gas for vehicles. So there's a range of options, starting from the RFI. So it's RNG, LFG, and CNG options to utilize the landfill gas from the landfill.
Okay, and the L and the C stand for what again?
Landfill gas. LFG is landfill gas. CNG is compressed natural gas to fuel vehicles.
Okay.
So Marilyn
So
Kevin, are you finished?
Yes.
Okay. Marilyn, so do you have a sense of timeline of when the RFP either will be prepared and released, or anything we can sort of hang our hat on? Marilyn?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's the second time this meeting I got bumped off. I'm sorry.
No.
The last thing I heard was Kevin explaining, I think he said 2 or 3 came in as yeah, I'm sorry. I just left
That's
off.
okay. No, I was just asking about a timeline. Are you aware of, is there any sense of, you know, what the timeline in terms of getting the RFP out?
Oh, well, we don't know that yet until what MES has to do is go to what they call their short list of, you know, the expertise in this field of work. And then there's a little bit of a vetting system because they also have to make sure that the consultant that they hire that will do this, provide this expertise and evaluation for us isn't a potential future bidder, or that they don't already have business with one of the 11 companies that responded. So I believe MES said that process will take about 1 to 2 weeks to vet all that out and have somebody to get a PO, a purchase order issued. And at that point, then that consultant will begin their evaluation time. And according to MES, they think with, having that expertise that it shouldn't take too long. So they're guessing right now about 4 weeks. So I think within, I'm going to say best case scenario, we may have that full evaluation of this RFI. And then from that point, that's when we can direct MES to start drafting the RFP that will go out. Now, once they get the RFP drafted, of course, then it comes back to the county. We have to review it, put our input into it. I don't, at this point, I don't know if it gets vetted through our office of law or MES's, their attorney's office. But I'm thinking, I know Adriana said in the meeting this afternoon in our briefing that she would like it sooner rather than later. So, we're going to move on it, as swiftly as we can, but not to rush it so that we miss anything, because it's very important. And we do also acknowledge it's highly technical. So we do need that expertise or that expert evaluation. So,
Right. Well, that makes sense. So we're looking at probably months before, maybe, they have something put together
Yeah,
by
I would
Thanksgiving, but
say,
then it's the holidays and so forth.
yeah, I would say if
Hold on,
if
Bill.
we could have a RFP in 3 to 4 months, I think that would actually be excellent. So, but she did, like I said, she said sooner rather than later. So it is a high priority.
Okay, Bill, go ahead. Thanks for
Yeah,
raising your hand.
at what point in this process is it going to be determined that the current pipeline, as it's being redesigned, or that is going to jive with whatever this RFP is coming up with? Is this something that everybody's going to wait until it's all set and done, and then they're going to say, oh, wait a second, this won't work because of whatever, and the whole thing's going to have to start all over again? Or is somebody beforehand going to say, wait a second, forget the pipeline because we're coming up with this other approach, or what? Is
No,
somebody through?
Yeah, whatever. So, based on, when the county receives information back from the expert consultant in this line of work that MES hires, another thing that Adriana asked for in their analysis was to look at the potential revenue stream of it. Because one thing that has to weigh in on the decision, which will come from the county's leadership, meaning the county executive's office, will be if the revenues to do something differently with the gas, with new technology that's out now, if that exceeds or far exceeds, hopefully it far exceeds, but if it exceeds the savings that the Department of Corrections receives, from their utility bill from Pepco, right? So if the county gets more revenue and can cover the electricity bill, let's say from the Department of DOC, and still, have more revenues to be able to help sustain our solid waste fund, which is in a deficit, then that will be what is presented then from our director to the county executive's office to weigh in on the decision as to whether the county wants to, go into a partnership, for instance, and, have a RNG plant built in order to clean the gas and put it into, say, like Washington Gas's pipeline, receive that revenue. We would have the DOC's costs covered, and the county would make revenues over and above that to help shore up our deficit in our budget. Or, if the county executive's office says, no, we rather just go forward with the pipeline, so that would be more of a leadership decision. And another option could be, because it was drafted this way within the RFI, even though some of the responses said that we had a couple that kind of left it open-ended. Another option could be that an RGM plant is built or developed, and perhaps some gas can still be piped to the DOC. So it's, sort of like three options we see are on the table.
And
which would be no gas goes to the DOC, some gas go to the DOC. So I guess that's two options.
And
Okay,
Marilyn,
Barbara, hold on a second. So
Sure.
let me just clarify from what Bill was saying. So it seems like it's a really good point. And that is, the question is effectively the replacement, to get that correct, the replacement of the gas pipeline on hold because of this process of looking to develop some other options for the use of the gas, or
not that I'm aware of, not at this juncture, no.
Okay, all right.
As far as I know, the Office of Central Services, OCS, has asked EA and the consultant, the design team, to provide that cost estimate for the additional costs concerning the bridge work, and there's some additional road work cost. Because I don't even know if we talked about that. Deepai had a comment about Brown Station Road too, which is also escalating the cost. They're waiting on the new cost estimate, and they're waiting on the new schedule. And I don't believe, I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking OCS has not received that yet, because I haven't seen it yet. And I think if they had it, that they would share that information, and we haven't seen it yet. Not that I'm aware of anyway. I'm not saying they don't have it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, the thing is, if that pipeline changed because they can't go over with it across the creek or however they do it, I can see that taking more than 5 years. In 5 years, the whole thing's going to change all over again, and they're going to, in the meantime, all the gas is being flared. And 5 years from now, the whole scenario of what to do with gas may be mute anyway. Who knows? Maybe that the correction will have to go solar.
Yeah, and I believe, and Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, on the 11 responses to the RFI, the time frame to have like a new RNG plant developed, and some were as few as 12 months. I think the longest time frame we saw on the list was 30 months. And we kind of feel like the responder that said 30 months is probably the more realistic, it's probably closer to 30 months than 12 months. So what would that be? A little over 2 years?
2.5 years.
To have it completely developed and up and running.
Marilyn.
Okay, Barbara,
Marilyn, we had heard that there was a partnership of WSSC and, was it Washington Gas or Pepco?
Yeah,
an ongoing partnership. Has anybody explored that?
Yeah, so Washington Gas is one of the respondents to the RFI. And they're the ones that we thought had the more realistic time frame of 30 months. And it's probably because since they're also like a sort of like a public entity, they probably have a better idea and gauge on the permitting process moreover than, let's say, a private developer.
Are they the ones who are in connection with WSSC already?
Um,
Don't ask questions.
well, I'm getting a little bit, WSSC is water. So Kevin, I don't know if that would, Washington Gas would be connected with WSSC. Do you know, Kevin?
No, it's for their sewage.
Yeah, but I'm not understanding the connection between,
I've heard that there is apparently a partnership for somehow or the other with WSSC already to reclaim gas from something.
I'm not sure. I think, I'm not sure about that, Barbara. I believe though that Washington Gas may be in conversations with the University of Maryland as an off-taker of the, I guess they receive RENs or credits for the gas. Am I saying that right, Kevin? Help me out.
Yes.
I've had a really bad day, and I'm sorry. My mind's on half on some devastating news I received. So just forgive me tonight. But Kevin, did I say that right?
That's correct. Washington Gas is partnering with UMD.
With the University of Maryland. Yes.
Yeah, University of Maryland, not WSSC.
Yeah. So Barbara, I'm unfamiliar with the WSSC connection. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
Thanks.
we spent a lot of time on this, and it's a really important issue. But I think we've kind of covered, unless anybody has anything else on this. I do think we need to pursue still getting the information we requested originally, and I'll work on that with Barbara to see if we can get a response, because we sent a request for a lot of information we'd like to understand better. So it would probably help expedite things.
And what either Kevin or I will do tomorrow is get a hold of court and ask court who is, should your inquiry be directed to? Is it him, or is there a project manager, somebody other than him to direct your inquiry to? So we'll get that contact information for you.
Okay, right. And
We
it's great
should be able to get that answer. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you actually have a contact with him and can help facilitate moving this along, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay, sure thing. We can do that.
Okay, so let's put a hold on the next item, and we'll move into, so that Antoinette doesn't have to stay for the whole meeting. And Barbara, Martha doesn't either if she doesn't want to. So let's move into
Antoinette on. Oh, good, she's here. Okay, so Antoinette, what we needed you to do is take control, I think it's called, so that then you can give Martha Ainsworth control so she can put her presentation on the screen.
I think she's done it. I can see it now.
Okay, perfect.
Let's see. Let's see.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Antoinette.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Let's see if I can go to presentation mode. Whoops, I'm going to go up. Okay, well, thanks a lot for inviting me, and I'll try to do this quickly. I wanted to talk about 6 bills that I'm certain will be in the hopper for the 2024 General Assembly. And right now what's happening is the deadline for pre-filed bills for submitting them is November 1st. So a lot of people are going through last year's bills and putting in amendments if they want to pre-file them. And then they have to be given back by the end of November, but it doesn't mean you can't file a bill. But most of these are going to be pre-filed or filed shortly, very, very close to the beginning of session. There may be others out there that I'm not aware of. So I'm going to talk about 6 bills. And the first one is the beverage container recycling refund and litter reduction program, also known as a bottle bill. This was heard last session, and we had a really excellent hearing. The main purpose this last year was to see where all of the various stakeholders stood, because it's really been since 2016 when there was the last attempt at a bottle bill. Now we have a new administration. Before it was still under the previous administration, and we're really hopeful this time. And I think we really hit on the issue of litter. So in case you don't know the facts, I've got here the problem. There's 5.2 billion beverage containers sold every year in Maryland, and only 1.2 billion are being recovered, about 23%. So 3/4 of all the beverage containers are being littered, landfilled, or incinerated. And that's a huge cost, and it's a huge waste of resources. Instead of recycling and reusing those resources, new containers are being created all the time with an increased greenhouse gas emissions and, energy expenditure. So the bill we have is really what I would call a modern bottle bill. There are 10 states that have these bills. Some of them go back 50 years, and we know that they work. In fact, a bottle bill is the gold standard, probably the most effective program to reduce litter. This picture, by the way, is from the Anacostia River. Half of the litter by volume in the trash traps is plastic bottles, FYI, beverage containers. So this bill would have a refundable price to deposit the price of beverage containers. Think about it as you buy the beverage, but you borrow the container. So to get the container back, if you've got something less than 24 ounces, it's a 10-cent deposit. And for larger beverage containers, it's a 15-cent deposit. You get it back when you return the bottle for recycling. There'll be convenient redemption options. By the way, this bill is different than other bottle bills of the past where they went beverage by beverage. The bills would have all these different kinds of beverages that were included. And then as soon as kombucha came on the market, they had all these problems revising their bill to add kombucha. So this goes after all beverage containers made of plastic, aluminum, and glass. And that means glass will not, at least glass bottles for beverages would not be would largely be taken out of the recycling stream, the MRF, which is probably a welcome development. There would be convenient redemption options, return to retail. There's something called bag drops now that are all over Maine and a couple other states where you can bundle all of your all the returns in one bag, and you have a barcode with your own account, and it deposits in it counts them all by make and by material, and deposits the refund right into an account that you can use. They have reverse vending machines, high-speed sorting and counting technology. So it's not our grandparents' bottle bill. It's really a new approach that's based on the lessons of experience. It's implemented and funded by beverage producers with strong oversight from MDE. There are all kinds of arrangements out there for bottle bills. Some of them, like California, it's run by the government. Other places, it's like entirely the private sector. And this stuff strikes a balance. The beverage producers are responsible for implementing and financing, but there's strong oversight from MDE. And there are targets in there, 90% recycling rate. I can't remember by what the date is. And if they miss it, they have to pay 10 cents per container short of the goal. So
beverage companies agree with this?
Well, that's what we have to get it passed. Don't freak out yet, Barbara. We're going to get there. I can give you a longer presentation on this because I've been working on this intensively now for, this is the second year, and I'm working on certain amendments from the discussions with stakeholders. But in other words, it would increase beverage container recycling up to 90%. It reduce litter by up to 2/3, reduce costs to local government, no more landfilling or, less litter collection of these containers. It would increase the food grade recycled content, which is what you need. Most of the beverage containers you get that are plastic, especially, are made from virgin plastic. There's very little recycled content. They're food grade, and because they are separated from other kinds of like detergents and stuff that are in your curbside bin, they can go directly into beverage containers again, or any other food use. It'll improve water quality, reduce greenhouse gas emissions. There's also a grant program within there that would increase investments in reuse systems, which is really where we'd like to go, if at all possible. Let me go to the next bill, and I can give you a separate presentation on this later. We could talk about, get into the specifics of what it has in there for counties and how they would save money. Okay, second bill, plastic post-consumer recycled content bill. This is really a partner bill.
Nancy, can I inquire how much longer this is going to go? Because we're already over 7 o'clock and I've got other things I have to do.
The meeting goes to 7:30, Chuck, as we all agreed.
Well, I didn't agree to that and I don't recall that, but in any
Yeah.
case.
Everyone else agreed to it.
I understand I can't stick around after 7. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So most of the plastic containers that we get are actually made from virgin plastic with very little recycled content. And this bill would mandate increased recycled content in plastic beverage containers, plastic food containers, and non-plastic food containers. I mean, not plastic non-food containers. And that would include some of these in the pictures, all the other, not just beverages and food containers, but, your shampoo bottles, your Tide, and all of that. So what it would do is set a standard standard for what the percent recycled content. And for example, for plastic beverage containers, it would be 50% recycled content by 2033. 40% for plastic containers to store packaged food by 2033. Anyway, I could go through the details of this one, but that's the general idea. So it creates increased demand for food grade plastic, which is what a bottle bill produces. Again, this is a program that the producers are responsible for implementing, and they have to pay registration fees to MDE to cover all program costs. And MDE would be registering all of the producers and enforcing it. It'll reduce plastic waste, increase recycling, replace virgin plastic. So that means less greenhouse gas emissions, and incentivize design for recyclability. Okay. Now,
Martha, this sounds wonderful. And I can see if California does it, it could work. If just PG does it, it's not going to work. Are they partnering?
These are statewide bills, Barbara.
Okay, but even if just Maryland,
I'm the zero waste thing for all the state for Prince George's County for Maryland.
Yeah,
so
sorry, but are
I'm
other
talking
states
about-
like California doing this too?
Yes, California, Washington State, and New Jersey. And one of the things we did in developing this bill was to talk with the implementing agencies who were preparing to launch their bills to find out what they think was wrong with their bill but when it was passed, and what they would do if they could do it all over again. And so we got really good advice from them. We had a great hearing. We discussed with the stakeholders. A lot of them had favorable with amendment responses as opposed to opposition, and consulted with them. And we have a set of amendments that are being implemented as I speak by the Department of Legislative Services to update the bill for the next session. That is already going. We know that one's going to be pre-filed because we did all our homework at the end of the last session. So, all right, this one, paint stewardship. So 10% of paint purchase goes unused. Most of it can be recycled or reused. Let me just say that in 2019, Prince George's County spent an estimated $165,000 paying for paint recycling. And this would be all taken care of by this program, which would be run by a nonprofit financed by the producers and by an assessment on new paint sales. So Those manufacturers of paint would manage the system for collection, reuse, recycling, and proper disposal of leftover paint, so it would no longer be the responsibility of the county. Oversight by MDE and assessment added to paint. It's not a big assessment. It's for really small cans, there's no assessment, and then it goes like it goes up to 5-gallon cans, and after that, that's what it covers, assessments of up to five gallons. They'll have convenient drop-off locations, probably, and they're not mandatory, the retailers aren't mandated to take it back, but they volunteer to because it brings more foot traffic into the store to buy more paint. So it'll be much more convenient, if I could go to Lowe's or Sherman-Williams here in Bowie to drop off the 30 cans of paint in my basement, than having to, go every time to the landfill. So that'll increase paint recycling.
It doesn't take Spain, does it?
I'd have to check, Barb. I think, I can't remember now, but I can answer that question. And okay, just so we're clear, this bill passed both chambers last session, but there was an amendment put on it on the Senate side, and it had to go back to the House side to pass without amendment. And it was on the agenda for the last day and sine die, and they ran out of time. So it's going to be reintroduced with the Senate amendment. Senate amendment just said you have to prove that this is going to work. This is already happening in 11 states now, already have this program, including DC. Once we get this going, there's all kinds of stewardship programs that might be launched. And here's the next one I'm talking about, mattress stewardship program. This is kind of in the queue for stewardship programs. And I'm really glad that Marilyn mentioned that we can go on that tour of Turbo Hall. We all know the problem if you've been to the landfill when you see a truck of all these mattresses come out and they can't be compressed. But more than 75% of the materials can be recycled. So this also would set up a similar program run by a nonprofit. It'd be financed by an assessment on new mattresses. All manufacturers in the state, all manufacturers selling mattresses in the state would have to participate. And it's going to save a lot of money for local governments and reduce, divert stuff from the landfill in a major way. This is Delegate Hill, and we've been working with her for a couple years on this. I think the debate, we had a meeting recently, and the whole conversation circled around who picks up the mattresses from private homes, or do people have to bring it somewhere? And that's a big constraint for people who can't get the mattress there on their own. So that is still being debated with the International Association of, I can't remember what the acronym is, but it's the international organization involved in mattress manufacturing. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm hoping they'll have another meeting soon and finalize this to put it to bed. Put it to bed. Okay, synthetic turf chain of custody. This is all about tracking synthetic turf. So the synthetic turf playing fields, some people don't realize this, their average lifetime is 8 to 10 years. And then they were replaced with another synthetic turf playing field. They don't go back to grass very easily. It's a huge production. And when there's no one really knows where all that volume of waste goes when they're pulled out. There's no requirement to track that, even though a lot of it's toxic. There's PFAS in it. There's crumb rubber from tires. And so this bill is just about tracking it. And it's Delegate Mary Lehman from Prince George's County, from Laurel. Sierra Club has put together an inventory of all the artificial turf fields in Maryland, which didn't exist before we got launch of this bill with Delegate Lehman. And we're going to be updating that. There's probably more like 425 now, but there's no tracking. So this requires manufacturers and owners to maintain a chain of custody and be reported to MDE and put on a website. This is a picture of some dumped synthetic turf in Pennsylvania. I mean, really, we don't know where. There's a lot of it. It's stockpiled. Like people with farms and stuff, they just open up a piece of land and they just stockpile it in these rolls where it kind of degrades in the environment and the crumb rubber goes into the streams. So we'd really like to know where it goes and what there's no real recycling of synthetic turf going on. Some of the components get recycled, but it's very iffy.
Yeah,
and
and I would say, Martha, and we don't accept it to landfill either. So this is really important.
it's a huge amount of waste. It takes up a lot of space in a landfill. I don't know, I meant to ask, I just did the tour again of the rubble fill. I meant to ask whether they take it, but I'm guessing they may not. We should ask them.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm unsure, but yeah, I remember working with Mary Lehman when she was a council member in Prince George's County, and we, she was very concerned with this type of field going in. I forgot what school. I think it was a school or a university wanted to, or I guess they eventually did install one. But the question was, at its end of life, where is it going to go? And because the landfill, we don't accept it. We know it can't, it's not being recycled. So, I think
incinerators don't want it either.
right. So
If you
this
could-
work,
yeah.
this work that you're doing is so incredibly important. So thank you.
It would be great if the county could weigh in on this one. So it has passed the House twice, and it's got stopped. It stopped in the Senate. It did not get out of committee in the Senate, and there's this. Some people think that the real objective is getting rid of synthetic turf, and there are a lot of families with kids, and they think that they could play longer on synthetic turf, and anything that looks like it's out to get synthetic turf, it sets off all kinds of alarms with the politicians. And we need to be clear here that this is about tracking it so we know where it's going and it's not being dumped. It's not. There are other, I'm sure there are going to be bills about use of open space funds for these fields, which are not healthy fields actually for kids, but that's a different issue. This is just about the waste, and we would like to get this done, and it's not going to be costly. Okay, last one, truth in recycling labeling. This is such an important issue because consumers are totally confused about what can and can't be recycled, depending where you are. People are always asking me, and if they're from Baltimore County, I can't tell them what's recyclable in Baltimore County. I know what's recyclable in Prince George's County. And you can imagine. So I've actually had toothpaste tubes that said, "Recycle me, I'm made of polypropylene." I don't know of any MRF that takes polypropylene toothpaste tubes. So it'd be just a total mess because there's always some toothpaste left in it. So these misleading claims, it would prohibit the sale, distribution, and importation to Maryland of products or packaging with any untruthful, deceptive, misleading recyclability claims. And plastic products or packaging sold in Maryland with chasing arrows would have to be recyclable in jurisdictions that serve 60% of the population and are accepted by 60% of recycling programs and could contain PFAS chemicals.
Sounds wonderful.
That's what last year's bill is. Now, this started in California. I mean, people have argued, well, they're not going to be able to do this just for Maryland. That has to be a wider, but once you get to the California market, then sometimes they decide it's just better to try to do this, to do it everywhere. But it's a complicated bill, really. People are confused about it, but it's so critical to the public faith and, what's out there to know that what they put in their recycling bin is really going to be recycled. So that's the last bill. That's the sixth bill. And Delegate Love just said a day or two ago that she intends to reintroduce it this year. So if you all can weigh in on that one, that would be good too. I'd like to see more states adopt this. Okay, so that's the end of that. I will stop sharing. Those are the 6 bills.
Okay,
I would like to-
we're very tight on time, so any kind of
I'd like to
critical.
make a proposal that the SWAC support all 6.
Um,
Not actually written yet, but that would be nice when the time
Or
comes.
support the concept of.
Barbara, do you want to put a motion on the table? I mean,
Yep.
you can do that.
Please. I mean,
Okay.
either, what do you think is better, Martha? put a motion now on to support the concept off, or after they're written that we support the actual bill?
I think it would probably be, thank you very much for supporting the concept. I think it would be better to wait till you have the bills in hand and you can actually read them.
Okay.
It'd probably be more compelling to.
Okay, I withdraw then.
Trying to convince, but if it's some future date, I can get 10 minutes to talk about the bottle deposit program, because there are a lot of misunderstandings about the impact on counties and municipalities of those bills. And there's a lot of literature out there now, research that shows that it actually saves money for local jurisdictions. It doesn't cost. It doesn't cost more. It actually saves costs. And the bill has some perks in there for counties that allows them to get handling fees for some containers. So we'd really like an opportunity to talk about that, but I don't want to go into it now because I know.
Yeah, we're tight
you're
on
short of time.
Okay, so Martha, just incredibly helpful. I think that what we'll do is have you come back maybe at the beginning of the legislative session to tweak, and we'll plan hopefully to get you right out of the gate. If you have presentation material, we'll have that better organized. Any critical questions at this point? I've only got a little bit less than 15 minutes. Otherwise, thank you so much. You're welcome to stay. We've got another few minutes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I'd
Oh,
like
the
to
other
listen
thing,
to the
Martha, it would be
presentation.
if I could get a copy of that, or so I could make that available to all the commission members, maybe in a paper form or by email or something,
Sure.
for everybody to
I can
have
send
that.
that to you.
Okay, great.
problem.
Terrific. Great, terrific. Thank you so much. Okay, so Dave, we'll pick up where we left off. Is any further items on the greenhouse gas group that you want to cover? I have an item, but
Yeah, I communicated with my neighbor, Russ Dickerson, in the last day or so, and asked him, they're going to be doing that study in the University of Maryland. And I asked him what the status was there. And apparently someone at NIST is in the hospital who's, I guess, sort of in charge of that. So I guess that's on hold right now, but hopefully that'll be moving too. That's all I know about that.
okay. All right, great. Well, related to that is I'm still sitting on the letter that we all approved to send, because I do not have a formal return address. So I've got maybe Kevin or Meryl can help me. Maybe they have some ideas, can help me. I need to figure out, we've got to get something set up, or I'm going to have to contact, I don't know, somebody at the council level or an attorney who knows what needs to happen. But
Can you ask Kenny Battle?
I did, and I haven't gotten an answer. So.
And I'm sorry, Nancy, what's that for?
So we had agreed to send a letter of support to NISTA and University of Maryland. I mean, it's simply just a letter of support. The problem is that because I think the Solid Waste Advisory Commission has never done any real formal business, I don't have direction on a return formal address for a business letter.
For SWAC's return, okay, I understand. Thank you.
If you have any thoughts or you can help me with that, I'd really appreciate it, because I've got to have something to send it. And I've sat on commissions before, and we've used various addresses at the county. So I just need to get direction of what that needs to be.
I'm wondering what I'm thinking I think it would work perfectly fine. Would be that SWAC could utilize our, Prince George's County, our division's name and our address at 3500, Brown Station Road, and put in care of Kevin Serona, so that when we receive the mail for SWAC, Kevin would receive it directly for you. That would be my recommendation, but
that's actually a good thought, but I think I need to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's actually the most practical suggestion I've heard so far. So if you work with me, we'll try to figure out if that's okay, or they have some other whoever we need to go to, but we can figure that out.
But,
okay,
yeah,
thank
Do we
you.
have to get that? Do we have to get that approved by Adriana?
I think
no. I mean, as long as on your side, speaking with Kenneth or, the lady from the county exec's office, her name's escaping me. Is it Muriel or something like that?
Miriam Brewer,
Miriam. If, I mean, if she's
Exactly.
fine with that, what I'm suggesting is we're perfectly okay with that. And by all means, what I'm suggesting, if she's okay with it, we're perfectly okay. In fact, I recommend it because Kevin's, the county's coordinator for SWAC.
Right.
And that gives you a formal return address that comes directly to us or, to Kevin. Like if you put in care of Kevin Serona, it would come to our, division's name, SWAC, and our division name with the 3500 Brown Station Road address and care of, and that way Kevin would make sure he, would be the responsible party to make sure that you received your formal mail.
Right. Okay, great, Marilyn. That's great. Thanks so much.
Yeah, because you certainly don't want to use your home address.
No, that's I'm like
exactly.
No.
And then if you get it sent to the county exec's office, it's just
lost in the shuffle.
It becomes more convoluted, So I would have it sent directly to our division. That's my recommendation. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, Dave. Anything further?
I have a question. This is Jonathan.
Yes, Jonathan.
Yeah, for some of us, our commission is coming to an end in the month of November. Do we have to do anything if we decide to continue, or do we have to write a letter, or just what do we have to do to continue?
I'm surprised they haven't contacted you. I'll send a note to Miss Brewer about it, and I'll let you know. So I think it's Jonathan, Dave, and Barbara, right?
No. Okay, yes.
Okay, I'd like to stay on too.
What?
I would like to stay on also.
I certainly hope so. Hope you all plan to stay. And Dave, I presume.
Yes, but I don't think I'm up this year.
Oh, maybe next year. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We never found out if we have 2 or 3 year terms, I don't think.
I'll check with Miss Brewer.
Our time expires in November. I know that.
I think you're right. I've seen that. And I think I've sent out the list. I can double check the list I have.
Yes.
But I'll follow up on that and get back with everybody. Jonathan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Dave, I think, is that anything else for the Greenhouse Gas Committee?
No, I mean, we're running out of time. I just want to ask if Kevin's going to be around tomorrow. I want to ask him something about the composting program, and if he'd be around tomorrow, I'd like to give him a phone call.
Yeah, he's
Sure, Dave.
okay.
Okay.
Nyla, you're up. We're gonna give us an update. I'm very excited.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So you all had a committee meeting. Maybe you can give us an update.
Yes. So for the 4 of us on the Education and Outreach Committee, Ms. Barbara and I were the ones who were in attendance at the meeting. So that was the 26th of September. Our meetings are the 4th Tuesday of every month. And so we got about 3 things done. We reviewed a sample objective of the Education and Outreach Committee and the things that we hope to achieve as a committee. We did create a document with all of us being able to edit the objective and then finalize it within hopefully the next month or so. And then we also brainstormed some type of events that we'd like to create and how to best advertise. And for our agenda for the 24th of October, which is coming up in a week, we're going to have to finalize the objective. And Ms. Barbara is going to create an amazing 30-minute minimum PowerPoint about the durable medical equipment facility. And I did contact someone, Miss Ann, I can't remember her name right now, last name, but she's amazing contact there. And at the Riderwood Senior Living
Ann Riley.
Community. Yes, that's
Ann
right.
Riley.
Yes, that's right. It's Ann Riley, and she said that'd be great. She was actually really interested, and she said that the ABLE committee would love to kind of get in on this and help with that and attend, because a lot of them are already Prince George's County members as well, so they love those kind of activities. And those were sort of the things that I wanted to review. That looks to be kind of everything, but we do have our meeting coming up again on the 24th, so that's about in a week or so.
And Nyla, can I ask you to,
Mhm.
anytime between now and then, send out to all the committee members a reminder and the URL?
Yes. I haven't created a meeting. I don't have the type of account access, but you do.
I
You
have,
do.
okay. Okay, do you want me to create a Zoom link and send it to you?
Sure, and then I can remind everyone, maybe do a calendar invite. Let's see if I can.
Okay, remind me what time it is?
I think it's 6 o'clock. I think, let me just double check here. I think it is, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
6
you
o'clock
both.
as
Thank you.
well.
That's great.
Where to?
Okay.
That's really great. Okay, so I will probably try to sit in next week. That's great. If anybody else is interested, that would be terrific. So thank you all for getting going. I'm going to go just very quickly because we're going to skip. We'll do it next month. The updates from Resource Recovery Division, unless there's anything really critical, which after I talk about the 10-year waste plan, Marilyn, if Kevin have some critical item, let us know. But so the review of the 10-year solid waste plan is underway, I believe. And so what is the deadline in getting comments? Oh, here we go.
Nancy, we were notified by the county executive office last week that the draft plan was to be submitted to the county council last Thursday. So we're waiting for the advice from the county council if it was delivered to them, if the draft plan was delivered to them.
Okay.
So we're gonna have an update probably before end of the week on whether it will be tackled by the county council this week or next week.
And what's the time frame typically for the review? How long do we have typically? Not that long, I think.
So it's 15 days from the date it's introduced to the county council, and once it is publicized on newspapers and public newspapers, right? It's 15 days for the public comment.
Wow. And so but it's not due out for another week or two?
I have to check with the county council, our liaison, but we're pushing that it will be discussed by the county council because our deadline to submit it to MDE is November 30th. So we're pressed for time, and it's a priority by RID to have it deliberated by the county council.
So as soon as that is out, would it be possible for you to send a copy of an electronic copy to all the commission members?
Yes.
And then I guess what would be ideal, although it's a huge document, would be the extent to which we could provide some feedback in the public feedback period.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
So I would say, I'm not sure who has time, but it would be really helpful if we could at least, I don't know, maybe we can look at it and divide it up or something. Okay, so I think we'll just have to stay vigilant to those dates and to provide some kind of review. It's a pretty short turnaround.
I unfortunately have to run off to another meeting, so thank you very much, guys.
Okay,
Bye.
7:30. Okay, so okay, thank you for the thank you, for the art, that's how very helpful, for the, RRD updates, no, that's great, okay, so stay tuned, you'll be getting, updates by email for member terms, commissioner terms, and, some of the to-dos we have, including materials from the 10-year plan, which is an important document that we need to take a look at. Okay, everybody, 7:30, I want to make sure we get off on time. Thank you. I know it's a longer meeting tonight, and thank
Motion
you. Jonathan, go ahead.
I said motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the motion. And thank you to Kevin and thank you to Marilyn. Much appreciated. And Marilyn, I'll wait to hear back on a couple of those things.
Okay.
Okay, everybody.
Yeah,
Okay,
Happy
thank you,
Halloween.
everyone.
Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Happy Halloween.